undertake lone wolf operations there.
Yes.
And therefore you find that the single persons, what happened in Westminster. One man in a car, he ran over several people, then he stabbed a British constable and who also died. What happened in Stockholm? You referred to Paris last year. What happened there? In Berlin?
Yes.
Major attacks. They used a huge vehicle. So one or two persons are involved, that's all. So it is not the number per se, it is the intensity of the radicalization which forces you to do that. So India is a very major thing. And Baghdadi has said that India is a part of our area of jihad. And now that they are moving into Afghanistan, tomorrow if they are completely wiped out from Syria also, Afghanistan is going to be the natural base. And for India it is going to be a very major problem. So that is one. Project Mosum, you are fully aware of that, that's absolutely correct. You are asked by my colleague on why you want to join the civil services. I think that's absolutely fine. Political economy on loan waiver. You had certain reservations on that, on the effectiveness or otherwise. I mean, you were trying to give your own viewpoint on why the RBI had said this and why the IDBI had said this. Yeah. So either you should be very, very sure of your facts. Otherwise, the best thing is to stick to the thing, to the what is the generally accepted thing. Okay. Financial inclusion schemes, you have mentioned that demonetization objectives. Here again, you see, you have your own viewpoints. You question whether it was effective in controlling terrorism or not. Terror funding or not. See, point is that none of us have any idea as to what is the actual state. You don't have access to information. Till today, we don't know how many counterfeit currency has been recovered. Has the banks declared that? No, because probably they are still going through the process.
How much cash has been also deposited?
So unless you don't know full facts, don't venture into a conclusion which you cannot back up.
And it's not a debate.
And it's not a debate, you see. You have to be, so when they ask you, my colleague asked you that what were the objectives of demonetization? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all. He never asked you whether they were effective or not.
Then the second part is how.
But
how
do not enter into a
You can say it is premature.
Point is, you see, until unless you do not have full data, how can you arrive at a conclusion? You cannot do that. And nobody has a complete data. Till when we do not know how much money has been deposited, how much is counterfeit currency. So whether what has happened to you, so don't venture into a statement, into a categorical statement without full fact. Then of course, the state of the Indian economy, I think that he was very, very good at that. He actually knows his subject. On the non-performing assets issue and the bad bank, you are aware of it. How do you measure industrial production? That you are not very, very clear on that.
So that I've forgotten. I do not even recall.
Point is, anything can be asked, by the board. Then of course, he asked you something on chess, you were able to respond to that. Then the measures to check corruption, the various legislations, I think he was able to, he was okay on that. 10th schedule, you are not very, very sure of that. Then the directive principle state policy, just be familiar with it because you know how relevant they are. I mean, that you have to uniform civil code. Anything on that? Checks on media from going overboard.
We have press council, we don't have anything for electronics. They have a self-made body which is there.
And India being a member of the ICJ, of course, Dalbir Bhandari, isn't it? He is so, and Ayodhya verdict, because you are from UP and it's a topical issue. Now the other suggestion which we have is that as you mentioned, current events is going to be very, very important. And I mean, we didn't ask you so many issues. What are the internal security issues? You have this problem in Jammu and Kashmir. You have the problem of left-wing extremism. ISIS, I asked you. Terrorism. Then insurgency in the northeast. All these are issues on which somebody can ask you anything. Then you have visits of various heads of states coming to India, like from Bangladesh, Mauritius, Australia, the NSA from US, the defense minister from Canada, who's raised various issues. So these are all issues, and what was decided in those, and particularly the agreements pertaining to economics, to economy, strategic alliances, etc. That's very, because when the Australian Prime Minister came, several of these strategic issues were also discussed. And the Australian Prime Minister, if you remember, had also mentioned that they will also take part in the Malabar naval exercises. Then our relations with China, what's happening there, with Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, budget, of course you're quite good at that. And as I mentioned to you about UP, certain basic data is something which you should. Otherwise, you are very, very poised, and I think you're very confident. I'm sure you could do well, but spend a lot of time on current events, because that is something which is very, very important. Anything which you'd like to add?
No, I think you are doing well.
My only single advice would be, your response should be objective and not subjective. So don't attempt to debate or you might be having your own views, but keep that in view.
You see, this interview is a very formal kind of thing, and most of the people are very, very senior level from the government, and by and large conservative. So keep that in mind. So do not try to take a stand which is anti-government or anti-judiciary. If the Supreme Court has given a judgment, then that is the last thing. You are not required to give your judgment on that, right or wrong. You may believe in anything. Okay? So just keep that in mind.
Just present the facts and the
facts, right?
And conspiracy charges would mean that you are not only responsible for your act, but for others also. Like Advani, he gave a speech, but he'll also be responsible for the conduct of others if this charge is made out.
Thank you.
Okay, wish you all the very best.
All the best you should do
Okay.
that.